Vaccine autism claims, GMO frankenfood bans, the herbal cure craze, all point to the public's growing fear, and, often, outright denial, of science and reason, says journalist Michael Specter, a trend that spells disaster for human progress. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, they're even entitled to their opinion about progress, says Mr. Specter. But, you're not entitled to your own facts. Why is there such a tremendous epidemic of denialism? The main reason is due to our lack of understanding of correlation versus causation. Another is our loss of faith in authority and our mistrust of big government, big corporations and big pharma, so we then leap into the open arms of big placebo. Be skeptical. Ask questions. Demand proof. Demand evidence. Don't take anything for granted, remarks Mr. Specter. But here's the thing, when you get proof, you need to accept the proof. And we're not that good at doing that. We're now in an epidemic of fear like one that I've never seen and hope never to see again. Unfortunately, this fear is motivating people to replace science with a belief in magic, from seemingly harmless magic such as ginkgo biloba, echinacea, and ackee, to tragic magic such as using coffee enemas to cure cancer, or even insisting that beetroot can cure HIV. People fight genetically engineered food, and think it's wrong to patent life and crop seeds, and they blame science for these problems. But these issues are about law, morality and corporate greed, not science. Science is not a company, it's not a country, it's not even an idea. It's a process, Mr. Specter points out. The idea that we should not allow science to do its job because we're afraid is really very deadening, and it's preventing millions of people from prospering. The solution? Mr. Specter mentions that we should fix the system instead of stopping scientific progress. Anthropologist Didier Fassin distinguishes between denial, defined as the empirical observation that reality and truth are being denied, and denialism, which he defines as an ideological position whereby one systematically reacts by refusing reality and truth. Individuals or groups who reject propositions on which a scientific or scholarly consensus exists can engage in denialism when they use rhetorical tactics to give the appearance of argument or legitimate debate, when in actuality there is none. Rick Stoff quoted Chris Hoofnagel, a senior staff attorney at the Samuelson Law, Technology and Public Policy Clinic and a senior fellow at the Berkeley Center for Law and Technology at the UC Berkeley School of Law, as follows. Then there are those who engage in denialist tactics because they are protecting some overvalued idea which is critical to their identity. Since legitimate dialogue is not a valid option for those who are interested in protecting bigoted or unreasonable ideas from scientific facts, their only recourse is to use these types of rhetorical tactics. In a 2003 newspaper article, Edwin Cameron, a senior South African judge who has AIDS, described the tactics used by those who deny the Holocaust and by those who deny that the AIDS pandemic is due to infection with HIV. He states that for denialists, the facts are unacceptable. They engage in radical controversion, for ideological purposes, of facts that, by and large, are accepted by almost all experts and laypersons as having been established on the basis of overwhelming evidence. To do this they employ distortions, half-truths, misrepresentation of their opponents' positions and expedient shifts of premises and logic. Edwin Cameron notes that a common tactic used by denialists is to make great play of the inescapable indeterminacy of figures and statistics, as scientific studies of many areas rely on probability analysis of sets of data, and in historical studies the precise numbers of victims and other facts may not be available in the primary sources. Such recourse to data debates and pseudoscientific evidence has also been noted as a common feature of several types of denialism in a 2009 article published in the journal Globalization and Health. Reputable and professional historians do not suppress parts of quotations from documents that go against their own case, but take them into account, and, if necessary, amend their own case, accordingly. They do not present, as genuine, documents which they know to be forged just because these forgeries happen to back up what they are saying. They do not invent ingenious, but implausible, and utterly unsupported reasons for distrusting genuine documents, because these documents run counter to their arguments. Again, they amend their arguments, if this is the case, or, indeed, abandon them altogether. They do not consciously attribute their own conclusions to books and other sources, which, in fact, on closer inspection, actually say the opposite. They do not eagerly seek out the highest possible figures in a series of statistics, independently of their reliability, or otherwise, simply because they want, for whatever reason, to maximize the figure in question, but rather, they assess all the available figures, as impartially as possible, in order to arrive at a number that will withstand the critical scrutiny of others. They do not knowingly mistranslate sources in foreign languages in order to make them more serviceable to themselves. They do not willfully invent words, phrases, quotations, incidents and events, for which there is no historical evidence, in order to make their arguments more plausible. Religious beliefs may prompt an individual to deny the existence of the scientific theory of evolution. Evolution remains an undisputed fact within the scientific community and in academia, where the level of support for evolution is essentially universal, yet this view is often met with opposition by biblical literalists. Although no evidence for creationism exists, many fundamentalist Christians teach it as if it were fact under the banners of creation science and intelligent design. Beliefs that typically coincide with creationism include the belief in the global flood myth, geocentrism, and the belief that the Earth is only 6,000 years old. These beliefs are viewed as pseudoscience in the scientific community and are widely regarded as fictitious. The debate is sometimes portrayed as being between science and religion, but as the United States National Academy of Sciences states. Today, many religious denominations accept that biological evolution has produced the diversity of living things over billions of years of Earth's history. Scientists and theologians have written eloquently about their awe and wonder at the history of the universe and of life on this planet, explaining that they see no conflict between their faith in God and the evidence for evolution. Religious denominations that do not accept the occurrence of evolution tend to be those that believe in strictly literal interpretations of religious texts. The time has come for science and reason to override superstition and myth. Humans will either live by reason, or die by faith.